For the priest, given enough time to study, contemplate, and prepare, preaching can become as easy as breathing. But truly living the gospel that we preach, such a thing means always making the hard choice, even when no one but the Lord is watching, and even when the cost is almost too high to bear. From small and humble moments, I learned over the past 20 years since he was elected that His Eminence Archbishop Hovnand Derderian is a bishop who strives to live the gospel in a remarkable way. As a teenager, due to a series of unexpected events, I found myself stranded in Armenia, alone for a week. In between departing flights and without my belongings. When he learned of this, he called me to his rooms. He told me not to worry, and though I didn't ask for a thing, and we were only just acquainted at the time, he gave me whatever money he had on him so that I could eat, whatever clothes from his luggage that could fit me, and made sure that I had someplace to sleep, and generally made sure that I would get home safely. A couple years later, after he became primate of our diocese, during a time when he was amazingly busy, he took an entire afternoon to drive with me to my father's gravesite and pray for the repose of his soul on the anniversary of his passing. At the time, I was grateful, but now, 20 years later, I understand much better the countless urgent demands that weigh on our primate every day. I realize that he taught me more in that afternoon about what it means to be a pastor and the value of the ministry of presence than any sermon or book ever could. These are just a small fraction of my personal testimonies, how Hovnand Sirpazan has embodied the noblest of values of the faith of our fathers during his primacy. But the most wonderful thing that I have learned throughout the years is that I am only one of innumerable sons and daughters of the Armenian Church that have witnessed and been the recipient of his Christian love. It could be said that perhaps one of the hardest tasks that could be undertaken in the 21st century is also one of the most basic and essential for humanity. Safeguarding the sanctity of the family. This is the foundational building block upon which the values associated with the Armenian Christian identity is built upon. And Hovnand Sirpazan has understood in an intuitive way that a great deal of care, time, and attention must be invested in our families to overcome the challenges presented by contemporary culture. The clergy of the Western Diocese know Sirpazan's heart in this matter firsthand, as he has consistently governed them with the imperative that family is first. For clergy, as well as laity, circumstances at times demand that we make sacrifices within our family life. But he has reinforced the fact that the clergy cannot truly preach that family is the first priority to their congregations unless they strive to do the same. In this, he has always given his full support. From His Eminence's earliest days at the Western Diocese, he's taken the greatest pride in what he's called his growing family. He regularly calls the families of the clergy and staff together, and with each passing year rejoices as the numbers grow with each new baby. He is perhaps at his happiest when he's in the presence of children, who naturally feel comfortable around him. It's truly amazing to see this in action. Just recently, during one of Sirpazan's visit to our parish, my 4-year-old son, Sion, who had previously been energized by the excitement of the day's events, running this way and that, gave Sirpazan a hug. And moments later, fell asleep peacefully in his lap. This was practically a miracle. Christ's teachings call upon us to respect the value and dignity of children and youth. Sirpazan has upheld this teaching through the importance that he's placed on their role and development within the Western Diocese. That not only are they our future and worth investment, but their very presence and nature are a divine blessing in the life of the Church. But the Armenian youth are truly those closest to his heart. I remember getting to know Sirpazan along with other youth leaders of the Western Diocese during the preparations of the 2001 celebrations for the 1700th anniversary of Armenia becoming a Christian nation. He had overseen the youth's involvement in that historic moment, and each and every one of us felt the electricity of his passion for youth ministry. It was so personal and yet directed for the benefit of the entire Church. We thought he was cool because he was the first priest that we saw using a cell phone. But though we couldn't understand it at the time, it was because of how much he cared. Though his responsibilities have grown substantially over the past 20 years, his heart for the youth has only grown. One afternoon, I was having coffee with Sirpazan, and he said, "You would make a good priest. Have you ever thought about that?" I had never really thought about it, at least not in that way. But after that conversation, I found it hard to think about anything else. In the years to come, I would find out that he would ask many future priests that same question. Their numbers would bolster the ranks of the clergy in the Western Diocese in a way that would be salvational and transformative as spiritual leadership in the Church transitioned generations. However, what has made Sirpazan's role as a recruiter so effective is not just that he's been vigilant and engaged in finding potential new clergy, but that by the support of many dedicated benefactors and leaders, he's built a program from the ground up to sponsor and shepherd these servants from day one of their vocation. If it were not for the visionary support provided by the stewardship program, myself and a generation of servants may have never found their way to the priesthood to serve the evolving and expanding Western Diocese. Blessed are the church builders, says the Armenian prayer. Over the past 20 years, not even counting the diocesan cathedral, we have been blessed to see many new churches built throughout the Western Diocese, as well as existing churches renovated or expanded. This is a triumph in its own right. But these accomplishments have been parallel to another equally important goal, which is the building and strengthening of faithful communities. Hovnan Sirpazan has always appreciated that common purpose is what binds us together. And when that purpose is divine, then so too will be our bonds. Stepping into the heart of any given aspect of Armenian American life, he challenges us with the question, why are we here? What is it that we are meant to be doing together? In this way, every meeting with Sirpazan is a working meeting. Just like a spring at the center of a healthy ecosystem, Sirpazan is the source of animation at the heart of many initiatives around which community thrives. Besides the core initiatives of the diocese, humanitarian aid, education, Armenian advocacy, cultural appreciation, health, and ecumenical cooperation are a few of the areas in which his leadership ripples throughout to strengthen our communities. Without our Armenian identity, there would be no Armenian church. Hovnan Sirpazan said this to me one day, and I remember asking, shouldn't it be the other way around? No, he said. Our identity has been a gift from God to safeguard the church. We must protect one to serve the other. I never forgot that. Although I grew up in Los Angeles, I fell in lifelong love with Armenia during my first pilgrimage to the homeland. But maybe that's because Hovnan Sirpazan organized it. Seeing Armenia through his eyes, as so many others have, I discovered something that was both unbelievably precious and also my personal responsibility. We can't begin to even calculate the impact that the programs that he has devised, directly and indirectly, have made on the Armenian nation. Much of it has been done so subtly or collectively that you may never have known that he initiated it. Has he done this as a proud son of the Armenian nation? Yes. But he has also done this as a remarkable bishop of the Armenian Church. As he recently said, when Armenians say that they stand by the church, I tell them, we don't need you to stand by it. We need you to stand in it.
Լույս է բացված յուրաքանչյուրիս հոգու խորքը, որովհետև գտեսնենք, որ այս ուխտակնացությամբ մեր երիտասարդությունը խանդավառված է նորովի դրամատուրգությամբ իրենց կյանքը նվիրելու համար Աստծուն եւ մեր Սուրբ Եկեղեցուն ու Մայր հայրենիքին։
On the day of my ordination, His Eminence led the procession out of the sanctuary into the courtyard where the congregation was waiting to greet us. In Armenian, he said jokingly to the large group,
Դեր մեստրոբը եւ երեցքին անին ցեզի համար է, զոհեցեք, they are for you, sacrifice them.
Which means, this is your new priest. Love and sacrifice him. Everyone laughed and cheered. But then I thought, hey, wait a second. It was true though, as it is for all parish priests, that they're called to a life of great love and sacrifice, and one is scaled to the other. It's a calling of great honor and privilege, which feels at times to be unbelievably heavy to bear. In the midst of that burden, Hovnan Sirpazan has always been peerless as a source of understanding, encouragement, comfort, wisdom, and spiritual inspiration. He's shown keen interest in the personal lives of the clergy, appreciating their respective circumstances and striving to set them up for success in their endeavors. He also truly challenges us as well, pushing us past our comfort zones, working to prepare us to shoulder more of the great task of serving the faithful of the Western Diocese, even when we feel like we're already working beyond our limits. He's able to do so without hesitation because we know that however much he demands from us, he demands more from himself by orders of magnitude. Without effective lay leaders serving not only the administrative aspects of the diocese, but taking on crucial roles in development, ministry, and outreach, the Church simply can't survive, let alone grow. Effective collaboration between clergy and laity is built on mutual trust and respect. Within every sector of our communities, our primate has established a leadership culture of just that, mutual trust and respect. Working with existing auxiliary bodies and establishing new missions, he has a way of welcoming new and talented lay leaders to the fold, entrusting them with crucial programs and working with them to make it happen. The beating heart of the Western Diocese is St. Leon Cathedral. The vision of this landmark spiritual home extends into the primacy of His Eminence Archbishop Vachi Hovsepian of blessed memory, who wisely understood how vital that location and space would be for the Western Diocese of the future. I remember visiting what was then a parking lot and dismal-looking office building as a child, and my father telling me that one day the big church would be built there. I couldn't see it. But years later, I had the privilege to witness it being built, step by epic step. Hovnan Srpazan made it an unprecedented priority to lead us to the consecration of our cathedral through seasons of profound challenges. But year in and year out, as I see the masses gathered in and around our cathedral and the beacon of faith that it serves as for our community, I feel a deep sense of pride and hope. What is a legacy but the confidence that the impact of one's contributions will reach beyond the immediate scope of their efforts? In this regard, His Eminence's service constituted a legacy long ago. But now, at the advent of his 20th anniversary as diocesan primate, we take stock of the fact that his legacy continues to expand in conjunction with the scope of his vision and endeavors. When he was elected in 2003, so many of us weren't accustomed to the sometimes grueling pace that he keeps. We couldn't keep up, he would exhaust us, and we told ourselves that he was running a sprint. But in 2023, we stand in awe that since the beginning, he's actually been running a marathon, but at a sprinter's pace. And we know well enough now that he doesn't intend to slow down anytime soon. How is this possible? Prayer mirrors your life, said the primate almost 20 years ago. As a young man, I didn't understand exactly what that meant, but now I see reflected in Hovnan Srpazan's life the power of his prayerfulness and the depth of his faith. Srpazan Haid, on behalf of the entire Western Diocese, thank you for 20 years of service.